All right, salute to all the Patreon members, all the subscribers. I want to thank you guys for your support. It really means a lot to me. Forgive me for being late. I had some things I had to go handle. I'm like 2 hours late. I apologize. But I have two specials. I have one special that I just put up on Patreon just a couple minutes ago, and I'm about to put up another special on there right after this. Uh, the one before the first Patreon special that I'm about to post up, well, that I just did a couple minutes ago. That's a dope special, but man, this one I'm about to drop after this video right here. I don't know. I should have put it on tier 2, but I'll make it available for everybody. So you guys out there, you don't want to miss this Patreon special that I'm going to drop here within the next hour. All right. So stay tuned for that. Check out the links in the description box below. I have an article right here brought to you by the New York Post. So effed up, Mary substitute teacher paid students and supplied them with booze and pot for sex. That's what the cops said. This woman right here, this degenerate right here. And, you know, a lot of women out there, they love to say their biggest irrational fear is men. All right. They would feel much safer with a bear than a man. But you have a lot of female predators out here. A lot of women, they get away, especially these teachers. A lot of women, stuff like this, you know, of course, you know, they once it's found out, they get arrested immediately and they're sentenced immediately, right? But you have some of those, not microaggressions, but the little things as well that gets overlooked and they don't get arrested for that. Like when I was a kid in the 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, teachers would like kiss me and stuff like that. And I could have said something about it. But I thought, hey, that's just what women do. Older women do. You know, they pinch your cheeks, they kiss you and stuff like that. And it's like, well, it's a real big double standard. If I would have said something back then, you know, maybe I would have gotten an apology. Nowadays, what happened back then, if I would have said something now, especially if it was on camera, then man, like charges could be brought upon a lot of teachers who do that. But this is going far beyond just kissing a student. This is a woman. This is a married woman right here in Missouri. In Pulaski County. So and Dixon, Missouri is like in the middle. It's like southwest of St. Louis. It's like in the middle. Well, it's southwest from St. Louis. It's in the middle of Missouri. Nowhere near Kansas City, nowhere near St. Louis. All right. This woman is married. This is why a lot of men out here do not want to get married. They don't want to have a family. They don't want to have kids because it's like you pour your all to make sure that your lady is doing just fine. Don't really have to. You take the load off her back. Pause. Right. Hey, don't worry about the bills. This is and a third. If you want to go work a job and be active, you don't want to sit at home all day. That's fine. But, you know, I'm paying this amount in bills. I'm taking most of the financial load. So you good. Right. So you're not stressed or whatever. You good. If you want to work a little job, cool. But work your job and take care of the household when you get home. Right. I don't know the financial situation. But imagine doing all that for your wife only for her to become a school teacher, a substitute teacher, and to basically do inappropriate things with students, underage students at that, right? This is insane to me, right? A lot of men, they just overlook just going through this. This is heart-wrenching, especially for the husband and the children, like the victims and their families as well. All right. So a married Missouri substitute teacher is charged with offering money, booze, and pot to students in exchange for sex. So this woman, hey, you know, let's go and do this. I'll give you $200. Right? She was tricking. And let's go do this. You know, I got a bottle of Bacardi 151, and if you don't like that, I'll get whatever you like. You know what I'm saying? Let's all right. Oh, you like to smoke, huh? Okay. I got about 2 ounces right here. Won't, come through, pick it up, but I want a little something from you when you picking this up. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is beyond degeneracy right here. So she did all this, including with one boy she slept with on a gravel road, according to police. So that probably had to have been late at night. She couldn't do what she wanted to do with this individual at her house because her family's there. Couldn't do it at his house because his family's there. So they went out into the middle of a field or something like that and handled their business there. Carissa Jane Smith is what this monster's name is, 30 years old. She would pay off the students to keep quiet about the encounters, which occurred from August 2023 to September 2024 in return for sex or for allowing her to perform oral sex on them. One of the victims claimed that Smith, who has children, forced him to ejaculate inside her. Man, so this woman is charged with 8 counts of statutory rape. She could have became pregnant, and then what would have happened was, okay, you would have been charged with that had you gotten pregnant. Or more than likely, she would have gotten an abortion. But if she would have went through with the pregnancy, she would have put him on child support while he's in high school. And we've heard stories about that before. It's sickening out here. That was effed up, he told her, according to charging documents. She then allegedly offered him more money. Smith, who formerly taught in the Dixon R1 school district, who would have sex with students at various locations, including her home, on the side of the road, or even on gravel roads. One young victim told police he was in middle school when Smith asked him to have sex. Middle school. You're talking about 11, 12, 13, 14. Some as young as 10 because they graduate early. They get to middle school early. So between 10 and 14. The victim said he first met Smith while she was substitute teaching and gave him her Snapchat contact. I told you guys about Snapchat. What did I tell you guys about Snapchat? If your lady got Snapchat, then let her go, because they're not like, Snapchat is used for a lot of freaky shit. That was like either one of the first or the first platform where you had like dissolving pictures and videos. Like you could send somebody some naked shit and they can't screenshot it or screen record it. What they would have to do is probably get another phone and record them like the other screen on the other phone. You would have to have 2 phones to get that kind of, to hold on to those receipts. All right. And the quality isn't going to be the best after it, but it's there. So I told you guys about Snapchat. Smith began sending them pictures of her breasts and buttocks along with her nude in the shower, according to court documents obtained by the Post. The alleged predator then offered the students. See, I'm glad it can't. Well, it says she was charged, so she hasn't been sentenced. So I guess alleged would be appropriate for now. But I'm glad they're calling her a predator, right? Because you remember the other live stream I did where they were talking about what did they call that guy? Remember, it was a guy 28 years old who faked his documents to go to high school to have sex with girls. And I think he got like 80 something years or 60 something years in jail. The person who wrote that article, I guess they called him petite or bite-sized, bite-sized guy. Like, no, he's a predator. Don't call him bite-sized. So I'm glad in this article they're calling this woman a predator. Who's Patrick Riley? Salute to Patrick Riley. All right. The alleged predator then offered the student money in exchange for sex, but told him to keep his mouth shut. All right, hey, here's some money. I'm letting you do your thing, but you shut your damn mouth. Don't you tell nobody what? The victim stated Miss Smith told them, and the woman, when I was in the 5th grade, that I clearly remember, who was like kissing on me when I would go to school, like on my cheek and my face and shit. Her name was Miss Smith also. The victim stated Miss Smith told them not to talk about it or else they would get into trouble. Miss Smith stated, you can't talk about this with anybody. Court documents said she would typically pay the students $100 to have sex with her or to let her perform oral sex on them, but also pay them in alcohol and marijuana. So here, this degenerate right here is not only exposing sex to your underage child that you're sending to school to get an education. This is a small town right here, right? I could only imagine how many students, and this is a middle school right here, which is even sicker. 130 miles west of St. Louis. This is even sicker. It's a middle school. In a small town like that, I can only imagine like how many students actually attend the school, right? Probably only a handful. You send your child to get an education so that you can watch them go on to high school, graduate, and then hopefully either go to college, get a trade, or they're able to provide for themselves in a way where it's like, hey, I don't have to worry about them financially, right? And then you're taking pictures and you're sharing those moments with family members, friends, and then that they can pass on those memories to, hopefully their kids as they get older. But you got this shithead right here who is basically exposing sex to students. They're going to need therapy, right? And not only on top of that, it's like potentially passing on STDs. You could have passed on STDs. The student she was messing around with, according to the documents, you forcing kids to ejaculate in you. You could have got them pregnant. They could have got her pregnant, right, by way of force upon her. Then on top of that, she's getting your child high and drunk. This woman right here, I hope she gets the same sentence as the other live stream that I did. What was he, out of Lincoln, Nebraska? Right? What did he get? Like 60 years? She needs the same amount. That's insane. All right. In one account of Smith smoked marijuana with the victim is Smith's friend Lacey Beam, a former school nurse for the Dixon School District, according to the documents. Smith dropped Beam off at her home. Wait a minute. A former school nurse, okay. Smith dropped Beam off at her home and then took the boy to McDonald's because her husband was at her home with her children. The doc said the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office said she could face additional charges if more potential victims come forward. Smith was hired in September 2022 as a long-term substitute for Dixon Middle School, the court docs note. All right. Middle school blows my mind, man. She was later hired as a paraprofessional and long-term substitute for Dixon School before she resigned in August 2024. To parents on Wednesday that learned of the allegations against Smith earlier this year, but was not able to comment, as this is very disturbing and distressing information for everyone in our school community. She was arrested November 12th. Is being held on a $250,000 bond. I don't think she should get a bond for that. But I guess, if you don't have all the evidence or whatever, then I don't know. She's charged with 8 counts of statutory rape, 1 count of sodomy. Oh, my God. 3 counts of sexual contact with a student, 2 counts of sexual misconduct with a student, 1 count of patronizing prostitution, 2 counts of sexual trafficking, a child and 2 counts of hindering prosecution. All right, so I don't know how many students there were. Maybe in the Lincoln, Nebraska case, he got that many years because, like, how long was he messing around with underage girls? It was years, him messing around with underage girls. So this person, because remember in the court, a woman gave a statement and she said that he took advantage of her for 6 years. So that's why it probably, held so much weight. 60 years. This situation here, she was a substitute teacher for about a year. So I don't know at what point in time she started doing this. So do I think she'll get 60, 65 years? No, right? Because it probably happened for a number of months, not even more than a year. But still, man, it's like you're providing drugs and alcohol to a student or students, right? They don't even have that as one of the charges. Providing alcohol or drugs and alcohol to a minor, like that's not even one of the charges, which should be a charge. Right. And maybe this is just an article. They forgot to write that in there. But there's a couple things they could have added to the list of charges from what I'm reading in the article. And this is why a lot of parents, man, like they get paranoid. Then it's like, you know what, I'm just going to take it upon myself to, homeschool my kids. But when you homeschool your kids, you pull your kids out of school just so you can homeschool them so stuff like this won't happen. It's like that hinders their social skills, right? Most of the experience, I got a lot of people don't have certain experiences in life until they become an adult. I was homeschooled for 1 year, but certain homeschool programs, they'll have like a meetup. Sometimes it's at a church and they'll have classes for kids that are homeschooled so that they can vibe and interact with other kids, at least once or twice a week. And that's what happened with me. I was taken to a church like twice a week so I can take classes, art classes. I was playing basketball, when I was in homeschool as well. So I was around other kids, but it just wasn't every day, right? You miss out on a lot. But I understand where their fear and everything is coming from when you have predators like this hired by a school district and they don't know that they're going to do this, right? But out of we see this right here every month, and it's been going on for years. And you would think somebody like this would be like, hey, if you got an urge to want to do that, you got to go seek help. And on top of that, it's kind of like, well, I've seen this story play out many, many times for years, and they all get caught and arrested. And it's like, why am I going to do something stupid like this? And if you have the urge, you shouldn't even be around kids. You need to get help. I remember one time, was it like a year or two ago? There were like 5 or 6 teachers all in one school who got arrested for having sex with their students in a high school. It was like I think it was about 4. I know it was more than one. It was like 4 teachers at one high school, all being arrested and charged for the same thing. All women, right? So, they always talk about how, women. They talk about, hey, a list of jobs thought men have, right? Stay away from these guys who have these kind of jobs. Then there's a list of jobs that women have was like, hey, man, you got to stay away from these kind of women that have these jobs. Teachers at the top of that list, man. Stay away from women who are teachers, right? just, and I hate to say that because I know all teachers aren't like that, but man, stay away from these idiots. All right. I know a nurse is on there and lawyers. It's like there's a long list. And, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what job that they have. There's good people and there's bad people. It was kind of tongue in cheek what I was saying earlier. It was a joke, but there's good people and bad people in all occupations, throughout life. And this so happens to be a bad one in this occupation. And we're seeing it over and over and over again. Right. So you guys be safe, be careful. Man, protect your kids. Protect your children. And another thing, man, if fathers, man, pick the right woman to have kids with, make sure you're heavily involved at this school. Don't just show up when a teacher who, doesn't like your child is calling about you. He's calling you about your child, right? Right. Like if I'm only getting one call from one teacher, but I don't get no calls from all the other teachers, then that's suspicious right there. It's something you got to maybe not, right? Or, show up to the PTA meetings, show up to open house, all right? Show up and have lunch with your kids every once in a while. And, while they're getting prepared to go back to the classroom, go to the class and speak to the teacher like, hey, how's everything going? Yeah, I'm this person's father. I'm in their lives. And ladies out there, if you got kids, man, don't have kids go through postpartum depression and then leave the father. Stay with your father. That's why fathers are important, right? But, even if you have an active father in the house and when there's a predator, it's like sometimes it could be too late. I remember there was one story where there was a teacher doing this kind of stuff, and then she was hitting on a student, a boy in her class, one of her male students, but the male student told on her and was like, get the fuck out of here. Like told the parents called the cops had the teacher arrested. I commend that young male. And I hate to see comments in the comment section when people are saying, man, he fucked it up for everybody. I wish I had a teacher like that growing up. I wouldn't have told, I wouldn't have snitched. Get the fuck out. I hate when people say that. Right. In this article right here, they said that this woman forced one of her students to ejaculate in her, which could have got her pregnant. Obviously they weren't using any protection. So the student could have caught an STD. And then she would have went through the pregnancy. She would have put him on child support, which we saw in a different article when the woman got locked up and she only got like a couple years. When she gets out, she can file child support on that child and he had to pay child support. I remember that. So no, like you doing that kind of shit at a young age, you're not thinking, right? You like, man, I'm having fun, yada, 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 get away from my annoying parents for a little while. I got, no. You're going to do something you regret, right? But anyways, so it's best like when you were young that, no, you're not exposed to somebody like this. Because even if you don't say anything and then you go off and this teacher doesn't get caught, now it's like you having sexual experience in middle school. Now you're going to go on to, not infect like STD. I mean, possibly, but now that you got this experience out the way, you're going to, now it's like you have sexual desires and urges that you probably wouldn't have had you not been exposed to a teacher like this. So now it's like you 11, 12 years old, you know, trying to get other girls in your class to do the things that you was doing with this shithead right here. Then you go on to high school, and now it's like, you know, you don't really know your self-worth, you don't understand sex, and you just doing things because of, you know, after somebody targeted you, and you're not even thinking. Right. So, anyways, I'm going to end that right here. You guys take care. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.